Hello, football supporters. At least I presume you're football supporters, and you better be if you want to get the full maximum joy and entertainment value out of the extraordinary tape you're about to see. I've wanted to make this tape for ages. I'll tell you why. It includes a revolutionary thought, and that is, they're no good. None of them. Your team, my team, they're not actually very good. Now, of course, in public, we all say that our side are kings of the universe. It's only a conspiracy the size of the Kennedy assassination that stopped everyone from recognising this. That and a few dodgy halfbacks we've had over the years. But in fact, in private and with our closest friends, we know they're capable of some terrible things and they're not very good. When they kick off, you know the kind of blunders they can make. They have made over the years. And when they do it in front of away supporters, oh. And yet, every time they put out the videos from their clubs, I go and buy our videos and it convinces us that the season we've just had, well, it had its ups and downs. The fact we finished rock bottom and didn't win a game from Christmas onwards and finished with an amount of points that wouldn't have stopped us from driving, well, that's neither here nor there. It had its ups and downs. Well, no, this is a celebration of those moments when we can actually say to each other, they're no good. Footballers are stupid, irrational creatures, and we waste our money on them. No harm there, is there? We're going to begin with the loneliest, most confused creature in the world, a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers. When you're little, nobody wanted to go in goal. And these kids that are stuck in goal grow up to be, well, inbred, hollow-eyed, confused, lonely drifters. Goalkeepers. Occasionally, they let the mask slip, and we see the beast within. Our first clips concern goalkeepers. Start with two clips, both tragic, but in different ways. This is a famous clip illustrating the goalkeeper as Burke. And then back in the 60s, there was Chick Brody's collision with a runaway dog. Which had the crowd chuckling away, and I dare say commentators too. The sad fact is that Chick Brody, the goalkeeper, nearly had his career finished by this. He didn't play a lot more. Now this, oh, I hate this one. Watch him. Yeah, get off. No, stays on. Thumbs up. Bottle of scotch in the dressing room, more like it. Tempted here, of course, to talk about the fiendish foreign technique of greasing around referees, but the picture spoke louder than words there, didn't it? In she goes. Now, how comes, whenever my team, and I suspect your team, get a chance like this, it goes out for a throw-in? Here, no. Look, how far is he out? And whack, first time, and it looks to me as if the goalkeeper could have actually got to this. Someone getting a drink? Nothing more to be said about that, just rare high comedy, and they turned this one into a musical, actually, and it ran in the West End for about 6 months, I think. Goalkeeper is Tiller Girl. Totally inexcusable. Teammates turn away in disgust, not as disgusted as us, to see the shirts. Snug, 1970s shirts there, if I'm not mistaken. There must be a system introduced whereby you can dock a player's wages for that. Just a bit of dancing as it goes over the head, and look at the number 6, well pleased. Goalkeeper as Sleeping Beauty motif. And another one, please. The next one is exactly the same. Enjoy this. Permission to drop dead, referee? Here's the safe handling award. One of the few headers scored below sea level. That, have a look again. Oh, I love this. Watch this. Watch.
The thing is, on the playback, ignore the action, look at the crowd as the goalkeeper says, "Mark him."
Ah,
And the inevitable resignation on the crowd saying to each other, "Oh, they've done that again."
ah. Now this is one of the most controversial incidents of recent seasons. You must remember this. Thing is, it's a perfectly good goal. And as you watch the playback, you can see Andy Dibble in the City goal does seem to drift off for a second. There he goes. Is the back door shut? Oh, who's that? Perfectly good goal. Glad to see it. Now here's another of those what I consider freak long-range efforts which never happened to my club. But it has to be asked, of course. Yes, it's a good goal, but what on earth was the custodian doing going that far upfield on a muddy pitch? He was under no danger. Stay in your box, man, and stop showing off. Look at him. Tell you what, I'm as good as those blokes up the front. No, you're not. And look what you've done. Rare-sighted double blunder there, as you probably noticed. Didn't even get the away side to score it. Comes straight the way through. Goalkeeper makes a hash of the entire thing. Bloke turns back, hits bum, in goal. You couldn't choreograph comedy like that. But you can try. Look at this for goalkeeper in death throes agony covering terrible embarrassment shock. Goes down in instalments saying, "Oh, want to know why I missed that ball? There was a sniper in the stands and I've just been shot." Don't think so. There he goes, seems fine there. Oh, temperature rises, collapses. Is it a goal? I don't care anymore. Now, yes, there's a faint touch of offside about that goal, but who cares? That makes it funnier. Not only did they humiliate themselves in defence, but the goal was probably illegal anyway. It's known as insult to injury. And here's number 3 of those long-range efforts that are born of naked opportunism that actually bear fruit. I must say, I myself have scored quite a few goals like that. But usually as the ball sails over the line, my wife nudges me in the ribs and says, "You're making a lot of noise tonight, you're dreaming again." And here is the best of all. This is the kind of incident that makes me believe in the 5th dimension. A set of circumstances that are so bizarre, well, watch what happens. It ought to be illegal, didn't it? How does it happen? Not even a mother could give sympathy to a goalkeeper in this position. And the teammates can't say, "Could have happened to anyone," because that couldn't. Good job your goalkeeper's not capable of doing something like that, isn't it? OK, while we were showing those, we did get a few calls from goalkeepers' agents saying, "Well, what about the spectacular goals that goalkeepers score?" Because they do, yes, goalkeepers score goals, and they're blunders as well when you look at it. But they're not as much fun, so you watch these and I'm going to change my shirt. The first end-to-end goal sails over the head of Alex Stepney. Now, I remember Alex Stepney very, very well, because he used to play for Millwall. We sold him to a big-time club with our best wishes, and he delivered the goods. You'd think it should happen more often, wouldn't you? I mean, goalkeepers have a hefty boot. And true, we came up with quite a few examples of this. But, goal for goal, this is a relatively rare occasion you're seeing here. That's why the goalkeeper's milking it so.
The fellow in the crowd you can see there is an excited Bobby Gould in his Wimbledon days, shouting, "Get his name! Sign him up!" Another similar example, just bouncing the once, but the thing to watch here, look at the edge of the area. The three. Clutches his head in his hands. He can't believe it. But I know the background to this story. As the ball sailed through the air, the number 3 was concerned it was going to be a goal. But then, from the terraces, came a cry. "You're bald. Get a wig." It never occurred to him before. But just to confirm our belief in this bizarre breed, here's a very undignified thing. Whoops. He does the only possible thing. He gets his brother in the stand to shoot him in the belly. Bang!
You know, when they asked me to do this tape, I said, well, OK then, but I want it to be a real football supporters tape, made by a real football supporter for real football supporters. And there's 2 rules here. Firstly, I don't want any of that stupid, vacuous music played over the top that they do on other tapes. You know, it sounds like this. All the way through the clips. OK, they said, Dan, you got it. I said, and 2, do not dress me up in any West Ham shirts. You only go so far with these contracts, can't you? OK, another thing is, my dad always says to me, see, modern football, son, they make all their mistakes. I never did it years ago, didn't they? Some people say comedy is funnier in black and white. Well, you can be the judge here. These are your kind of common or garden own goals, and this one is most notable for the classic reaction. The dejection, the sudden realisation that you are a buffoon. Under a lot of pressure there, mate, weren't you? Now, the 6 really had to reach for that, and his teammate has a quiet word with him as he lays on the ground looking up at the sky. But look at the way he jumps for this ball. Got diver's boots on. But he makes up for it by stabbing the ball into his own net. Pictures from West Ham in the 60s were always very fuzzy, but not fuzzy enough to spare the blushes here. Again, could have happened to anyone, but it happened to him. And that makes him feel a hell of a lot better. Oh, the close-up's nice as well, thanks, director. Peter Shilton, 12. Another interesting thing to note is the classic defenders running back then giving up when they see it's an own goal. It's like when you run for a bus and miss it. Look, just... oh. At first, it's hard to see what happens in this one, but if you look, the goalkeeper actually punches the ball into his own net. And then looks around for, where's that linesman? Surely there was some mistake there. Nope. It ought to be impossible, the angle he belts this ball back at. Sort of hitchhikes it into the goal with his thumb. Desperate lunge, they call that. Same match, Man City, Nottingham Forest. Exactly the same cock-up coming up. Defender takes the blame this time, though. Having a little nap. Who are they trying to blame? Who do footballers blame at that point? Well, let's face it, nobody could blame you here, could they, except the players, officials, supporters and dependents of the club which pay your wages? Yeah, OK, Scotland scoring against England, but the upcoming bunch of clips all prove that defenders needn't necessarily work against attackers. Some defenders like to take the broad, flexible view and actually like to help things along, give good value for money, etc. A perfect example from the same game. Nothing going on up front. Why don't you have a go? Yes, it's a serious old game, football. Pinpointed him, look. Must have been the clash of kits, I think, confused him. And the next one, please. Look at the goalkeeper. Furious.
absolutely livid. I mean, quite rightly, but you should bottle it up for the dressing room, shouldn't you? As it sails past him, look. Just for that, you're going straight to bed. Ah, muddy pitch. Don't know what came over me. Underhit it. Matron, pass me my revolver. Going for a walk in the woods. Now, you've heard of that phrase, last line of defence. Well, sometimes it's a thin, dotty line with great big holes in it. Thing to watch out for here, the people standing behind the goal. As he makes his desperate appeal to the linesman, appeal fails, he gets 6 months. They both look away. I love that plunging neckline. Now, here's a good example of number 9s shouldn't come back and defend. They're no good at it. But it was the heavy haircut which did it. A lighter, neater style would have made him head it the other way. But you can't turn your head if you've got the old hay wain atop. Similarly, you cannot command your defence's respect if you're wearing an atrocious tash. Yes, there's a mix-up. But how can you take orders from a captain who looks like that? Never mind substitutions. Get the Gillette out. I dare say a less hirsute man would have cleared that ball. Here's another number 9 trying to help out. Gives it away. Not content with that. Gives away penalty too. There he is. Get over. Roy McFarlane there is saying to him, what are you doing back here? Go away. Now, what can I do to liven up this rather dull 0-0 game? I don't know, give it to one of theirs. Oh, he's making a fudge of it. Tell you what, have a penalty, old boy. Over you go. Same match, more hijinks. What with that and the penalty back pass fiasco in the first half, the mystery of why Derby County aren't the force they once were, I think is pretty much explained. Oh, and of course, Robert Maxwell. Ah, some legends at work here. This, of course, Malcolm MacDonald crosses. Tommy Smith makes hash of it. Chris Lawler, own goal. A selfless act, this, because Tommy Smith used to get a terrible mood if he thought he'd had a bad game. So what happens here? MacDonald puts it across. Smith embarrasses himself. And Lawler says, no, that's not a mistake, Tommy. This is a mistake. His pride is satisfied. Ah, now, this one I'm not going to talk all over, you'll be glad to hear, because, well, mistakes like this, they're just... I love the goalkeeper who turns and says, why didn't you give the ball to me? As if that thought had never occurred to him. Here's another piece of appalling defending, which we've put in the tape to show you you're not alone. Other teams do this too. Looked extraordinarily like Pat Jennings scored that goal. Not in goal, the man in the white shirt. Who he? This one's a bit of a freak, but it's worth it to see the Newcastle defender who ponders his future in the back of the goal. Could have had that job in a lumber yard. Come on, lads, let's get up and get on with it. Nothing a good spit won't cure. I like the way he reaches for the ball here. Would have gone out of play otherwise. Curiously enough, there must be something about that particular portion of Stamford Bridge which encourages meditation and devotional thought. On this occasion, the thought through Peter Osgood's mind is, I'm playing Man United. I can't believe how bad they are. Very rarely does a goal get a big laugh. Now don't be confused. This is not Torquay v Wrexham. It's Brazil v Scotland. And tragic Scotland come up trumps again. How dare that man take the credit for it? It was his fault, but it's all explainable. You see, as the ball comes in at high speed, all those Brazilian attackers put him under pressure. The night this game was on Match of the Day, the audience must have been enormous. Everyone remembers this. Sandy Brown, setting the standard by which all other own goals are surely judged. As they say, he doesn't miss those. He launched himself and found the one spot the goalkeeper simply couldn't get to. Comedy of errors may be an overworked phrase, but this goal is also notable for a Lionel Blair-esque piece of choreography on the line. You'll notice it's Dempsey gets the final touch to make it an own goal. But watch that natural-born striker, Billy Bremner, who merely has to give it a brush to send it in. Not our Bill. He wants to blast it. But misses. Peter Lorimer shows why he's worth over 60 quid a week. Now, Luton v Plymouth is always a classic fixture. Good, humorous own goal, topped off by goalkeeper with his boot caught in net routine. And the kids' faces showing what a fun family game football is. It is at this point that the six makes his mind up he's going to pay the goalkeeper back for that lousy tip he gave him in the Cesarewitch. A double X feature, this one. First, the unsavoury back pass. Then the 10 gets his reward. A hug from Kenny Hibbert. Always well up in the Bears bum lookalike awards, Kenny. More famous faces here, and a Queen's Park Rangers defence showing what happens when you do your training in Billy Smart's circus. Now, believe me, that manoeuvre was not as easy as it seemed. No wonder the boys look proud of themselves. Lesser defences would have cleared that ball, not the Rangers. This one's a blunder by old Frank Lampard, or as they called him at West Ham, old Frank Lampard. Oh, you old tease 11, just do it. Is that Billy Bonds on the line there? I rather think so. Frank, sporting a disagreeable beard, looks up and with precise geometry gives the ball back to the opposing number 9. Wrong way, Bonzo. Burn. Burn.
Just a little gag there, Hammers fans. Yeah, Wolves, that's better. Never forget Wolves coming to Millwall in about 1969, and Derek Dugan had a bust-up with our big number 6, Tommy Wilson. And Tommy Wilson chased Dugan all around the outside of the pitch until Wilson was restrained by the officials. And at that moment, a fan leapt out of the stands and said, "I'll get him for you, Tom," and carried on the chase like a relay match. He was just about to catch Dugan when the referee blew for half-time, and for some reason this bloke responded to that and went back to his seat. Can't get that anymore, of course, and probably quite rightly. But I've always thought Wolves a bit of a lucky side.
with a little help from Ardo of Holland, who scored 3 own goals in one game. That one was absurd and is celebrated by Derek Dugan. It's called taking the push off, mate, would you? There it is, gets down at the narrowest of angles and surprises, to say the least, his goalkeeper. Interesting angle on number 2 here, and by the way, they're all in the same half as well. Watch on the edge of the area. The number 2 can't believe his teammates can be so foolhardy. Have a look. Bald chap on the edge of the area. Thinks, what am I doing in a side like this? However, a few minutes later... Aye, Baldy! I'd have said so. It comes crashing in, and this is the precise moment when Paul Daniels decided to give up football and go into the entertainment business.
QPR. I've got no problem with QPR. I've always thought they're like a courtesy side, like a kindly old aunt that you can't feel too badly about. They're no trouble, are they? Now, I think they're taking all the fun out of football. This is not a school of thought, it's a fact. I mean, you can't stand up at grounds anymore, you can't swear at grounds anymore, you can't have a drink at grounds anymore. And of course, with the introduction of the back pass law, you soon are going to be denied seeing those wonderful, spectacular, inevitable own goals that, as I said earlier, all our teams are capable of. So the upcoming chunk is in celebration of that grand era which now may have sadly passed. Think of it as like one of those programmes they do on porpoises and penguins and whales. They're dying out. Let us love them while we may.
Peter Shilton, now 15, hoofs it upfield. But don't worry, Hammers fans, you're safe with Walford. And McAllister. Of course, the ball, yes, it was going out until McAllister's trusty glove tipped it those few inches the other way. No wonder he's furious. With who? There it is, heading for the Ghostbusters sign. But who are you going to call? Your agent? Oh, I was hoping this one would show up. I was at this game. Millwall in the yellow, Crystal Palace in their foul and loathsome showbiz kit. Jeff Hopkins with the disaster. Listen to me. That's me screaming and shouting. How little I know. We eventually shared 7 goals, as they say, with Palace this day. Lost 4-3 to virtually the last kick of the game. But some consolation, this gave us the lead. And Jeff Hopkins, thank you, thank you, thank you. And now a very surprising mistake from Stuart Pearce of Nottingham Forest. At least, you may not think this is Stuart Pearce's fault, but Terry Wilson, who actually scores it, seems to think it is. Look at that. You should have been covering that, Pearcey, he's saying. However, if you look at the replay, you'll see that Terry Wilson does make contact with the ball, and the ball just creeps over the line. But what was Stuart Pearce thinking of? This is Lucky Wednesday again, and at first this looks like the most bizarre own goal of the lot. But on replay, watch as it comes off the Luton Six's face. Blame Stuart Pearce, I say. And while we're about it, here's another deceptive angle. At first it looks like your Commonwealth Garden Messi own goal. Paul McGrath, of course, but look how spectacular and what an effort it actually was. Pick that out. Now, what's this one? It's Oh, now, come on. I'm going to have an argument with the people behind the scenes here. I told them to leave this one out. There's nothing funny in it. It just comes off of Eric Young's... Yes, yes. Now, grow up. Just because it doesn't come off the head of the boot, that was his hip. Have a look again. It comes off his hip. Over it comes... Oh, no, you're right, actually. Yes, it is. Yeah. But it's still not funny. Oh, you are enjoying yourself. Yes, I remember this too. Luton Millwall, that's Mick McCarthy scoring an own goal, but the fact here is this was Mick McCarthy's debut. Now, as I speak, Mick McCarthy is Millwall's manager. This is how he arrived at the club. And not content with that... Oh, yes, you've got that one too. Not content with that, in the second half of the same game... What a signing he proved to be eventually, but who'd have thought it from these rude beginnings? You're still giggling about Eric Young, aren't you? Another Millwall export here, Tony Cascarino, who I personally have a lot of time for. And I'm sure the Villa fans did. A lot of the time. But let it go on record, he scored at both ends during this game. It's just that on this tape, we're showing the one he wants to forget. Bang. Happily, defenders can still head the ball back somewhere, like an exocet. Wonderful bit of theatrics from Connor, who played for Brighton in those days. Love the way he lays on the floor for a few seconds like a dog waiting to have his belly tickled. Over it comes. And the winner of the Sandy Brown Memorial Toothbrush Rack, Connor of Brighton. Perhaps he should have paced himself, been deft, more daring. Yes. A couple of inches and it would have gone out for a corner, and where's the fun in that? As Ernie Howe. Ipswich now, showing they are the founders of the conglomeration game, football, pinball, skittles. It never caught on, I don't know why. Alan Hunter showing dignity, always dignity. Back now to our endangered species. Mixed reaction in the crowd, but how inevitable this goal was. Look at his pose. That is always going to be an own goal, isn't it? Graham Wilkins, what can you say? I mean, Tony Cascarino, take note. This is how you bury them at close range. Keeper comes out, don't give him a chance. Now this is Graham Souness for Middlesbrough. But Glenn Keeley for Newcastle. I mean, you know goals pay the rent, but did you know they can also get you evicted? OK, it's been far too long since we humiliated a goalkeeper, so let's have one. Watford v Rotherham, what they call a speculative clearance upfield. There's our man. Now, I've got this goalkeeper's name written down in front of me, and unless he calls this tape in the next couple of seconds, I'm going to reveal it unto the... Hello? Yes, I thought you would. No, promise you your secret's safe. It's £50,000, then use £5 notes. Leave them at the Bradford Park Avenue ground. We'll say it was Arsenal. OK, proof positive that they do it better on the continent. Pure German precision. But in fact, as a newspaper explained afterwards, the ball was made from leather of a cow that died from mad cow's disease. And sooner or later, it was bound to get to the players. So 35 minutes gone. Coventry 0, Liverpool 0, and the ball in the safe hands of Kilcline. Oh, that's a disaster for him. Barnes, 1-0 Liverpool. A disaster for Brian Kilcline. But at least he's safe in the knowledge that this terrible moment for him won't be dug up and replayed over the years on some facetious collection of brain-dead back passes. That really would be adding insult to injury, and Brian Kilcline knows that we're going to burn the film as soon as this game's over, which eventually his team will go on and lose 3-1. A bit of fancy jiggery-pokery goes awry, setting in motion a course of events crowned by an explosive header from David Cole of Torquay. We noted the goalkeeper's prone come-and-get-me-big-boy posture. But basically, you shouldn't try jiggery-pokery if you're Torquay playing at Tottenham, because as the wise man once said, I'll have jiggery, but I won't accept pokery. Nothing special about this next one, but it is just about the most typical incident in the entire tape. How many times have weekends been ruined by thoughtless, idiotic moments like that? Usually the 88th minute. And in a recent survey of members of the Kennel Club, dogs said that a lot of their kind are kicked on Saturday night because of stupid, boneheaded Derek Mountfield type. Hey, dogs, boneheaded, that's rather good, I'll write that down. Everton again, this time against Sunderland, and it works in their favour. Really want to savour this, watch. And if you're like me, on the close-ups, don't you like to look at the faces in the crowd? The impetus, plus the spinning of the planet Earth, leaves him was something of an excuse. But look at the goalkeeper. Talk about go down in instalments. Everton again, and again in their favour, but this time the hero is the enormous figure of John Lukic. In she goes, and note the man in the bobble hat behind the goal, using just a couple of words where probably Motson is using 5,000. If it's any consolation to you Highbury fans and to Mr. Lukic himself, this was the only goal of the game. Other point to note, Tony Adams' desperate lunge. And I'm sorry, Tony, but it has to be said, you made a bit of an ass of yourself. Hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. Oh, now we are talking premium top draw, grade A own goal. Oh, come to Papa, Andy Linegan, the mother of all own goals, surely. But you know how it is. You are frustrated. You've always wanted to be an attacker. You have a kind of flashback to the old schoolyard. The red mist comes down and who could resist? Now, potentially one of the greatest moments of Glenn Roeder's career is coming up. Except for number 4, David McCreary. Glenn almost clears his lines. He can see the headlines the next day. Roeder saves Newcastle. But McCreary sends them down the toilet again. Wimbledon's Hans Sagers here on a cruel twist of fate. Most extraordinary thing about this, who are all those people behind the goal? Of course, normally they would be the away support. But this is QPR v Wimbledon. What away support? What home support? Who are those people? Actually, there is a suggestion that it's all the potential buyers of this video who just wanted to see themselves on television. Of course, Liverpool have been going through, by their standards, bad periods in the last few years, and everyone's got their theories on what it is. You know, did they ever recover from the Shankly era, the Keegans, the Toshaks? What about that Arsenal game, the last kick of the game? Did that really have an effect on them? If you ask me, it all began, the decline, with Ronnie Whelan, that goal. What do you mean, what goal? You had to be in that Sunday afternoon when this was broadcast live to the nation. Earlier on, when I spoke of the endangered species of the pointless back pass, nothing could illustrate it better than Ronnie's worst moment. And against Man United too. Still, at whatever end they were playing, Liverpool were always known for precision, craftsmanship, professionalism and workmanlike eye for detail. Here is a cock-up, home to the thou of an inch. In comes Ronnie, and on a black afternoon, gives Mancunian pride a straw to clutch at. You're going to love this next bit. I love this next bit. There's something deep within the football supporter animal that makes you respond to things... Well, it's just like mother's milk tea. You can't resist the thing. Somebody has a shot that goes way over the bar. Way! How can you stop yourself doing that? And I don't care what game you've been at, how crucial the goal was. Nothing gets a cheer like when the referee gets hit with a ball. Why? We're all grown-ups, most of us. It's like throwing snowballs at the man's top hat. Referee gets hit with a ball, it gets a big cheer, a big laugh, everyone goes home happy. That's show business. Bobby Moore even. Jeff Hurst may have had the penalty technique, but when it came to heading clear, Bobby had some power. Cannonball Moores, they called him. Although, if you ask me, I think the referee might be milking it just a little bit. Bob trying to keep a straight face, not succeeding too well there. I mean, it's only a short header. Yes, it would have stung, but knock you out? This one, a glorious 1,000,000-to-1 chance. The referee's already in trouble when... And watch Mark Bright put the boot in. I mean, really, can we condone a footballer putting the boot in when the referee's down? Let's have a show of hands. Yep, apparently we can condone that. But what is the referee doing? Adjusting the wig? Now, the reason I thought the Bobby Moore ref was showing off was that header couldn't knock you out. But that can knock you out. the important thing here again, keep a straight face. Don't be seen giggling like schoolboys. And don't fill in all the gory details for your mates. Apparently this official could have chosen two courses, being a football referee or a boxing referee. But who fancies catching a right-hander from Mike Tyson? When he got up, he booked Stuart Pearce. This is a famous clip, and perhaps the most unsavoury view TV cameras ever brought the viewing public. Ugh. Why he holds his nose, nobody knows. But when he brings the play back, we can watch the replay and see how the referee offered the player the opportunity to run through his legs. No wisecracking dialogue needed over this. This is a beaut. Oh, let's play it back on behalf of football supporters and I dare say players everywhere. There stands the official, out of harm's way, thinking about who he can book next when... right in the Eric Young region. And the hits just keep on coming. This one harder than most. Referee laying on the floor, laughing along with that one. But it's interesting to note, it's good to have a trainer who's also the general dictator of a small country. There he is. And watch, as he hits the ref, the two culprits run away. Mind you, not all refs are wimps. This one must be Vinnie Jones, old man. Look at this. Come here, you. Come here, I'm going to book you. Come on, shut up. I said shut up. Though this player must have worked with a ref before, because the first thing he does is hold his hands. But you've got to watch these refs off the ball.
Referees are the only bone of contention I've got with the Premier League, actually. I mean, you can't sing "Who's the blank blank in the green." It doesn't have the same emotional impact for some reason. Anyway, I've got letters. We've been sent letters while we've been on the air here today. And this one says, Dan, as an England supporter, I thoroughly enjoyed the recent European Championships, and I wonder if you've got any of our heroes in action. Well, luckily we've got the King of Kings himself, Mr. Keith Curle, doing what he does best.
And by that, of course, I mean defending. This is an unfortunate instance. I mean, Keith is not known for blundering, ham-fisted mistakes. Not for Wimbledon, anyway. At this point, I would like to say hello to Colton Palmer and Martin Keown. Can you make the connection? Of course, you don't have to be an exciting top-of-the-range England performer to score a good own goal. John Polston is a player who, frankly, nobody's ever heard of. But he pops up here for Norwich. And once again, the consolation for John and the Norwich supporters is this was the only goal of the game. But for this, the players would have certainly got something like a draw bonus, if there is such a thing. We're going to see Tony Daly do an innocuous shot towards Tony Norman in the Sunderland goal. Look at the reaction of the man in the red jumper right behind it. For students of this sort of thing, on the replay you might want to ignore the man in the red jumper and look to the right a little. It's the bloke in the blue shirt. If the man in red couldn't believe it, the bloke in blue really can't believe it. This is Vinnie Jones scoring an own goal. Oh, no, he cleared it. I'm sorry, I must have got this wrong. Where's me notes? Oh, no, nothing wrong with that one. I do apologise. Took me by surprise, that one. Vinnie, you old tease. Like to keep the audience on the edge of their seats, don't you? Just like Psycho, in fact. Yes, he cleared it the first time, but he's not going to make that mistake twice. The Wimbledon mystery continues. Here we have Mark Nicholas giving a crafty backward glancer to outfox his entire defence. No jumping up and down there. Very little celebration there. And yet we can hear people cheering. A good own goal, skidding off a greasy surface, Mark's forehead, and straight into the corner of the goal. But note the early forerunner of the Arsenal mural in action. Now we see Palace defender Richard Shaw caught in two minds, Abbott and Costello's. The headlong rush, like the light brigade of the goalkeeper, does nothing but give the bar a rather worrying waggle. Yet more quality England defending. This is Gary Pallister, or as he's known, £2 million Gary Pallister. Now, that's got to be worth seeing a couple of more times. From this angle, we can clearly see the way it comes off the tongue of his boot. Always call those ones looping in, but Gary said after the game, I saw it coming across and I thought I'd play safe and put it out for a goal. But you can probably see there's a couple of themes developing here. The kamikaze England defender and also the valuable Millwall export like Neil Ruddock. Smiling boy Neil believes in one-touch football, and all together now, that's all the touches he needed on that one. Of course it was a snowy pitch and there is the lesser seen orange ball. Always wonder where they keep the orange ball for the rest of the year. They say there's no such thing as a sure thing, but as this ball enters the area, if you could freeze the action, well, it's obvious. And the one thing Neil Poynton doesn't need at this time is a lecture, especially from a goalkeeper with an equally preposterous moustache. Yep, goalkeeper calls, leave it. Neil ignores it. Earlier on I said nobody's ever heard of John Polston. Well, in East Anglia, he's a legend. Well, perhaps not a legend, but his name never fails to get a big laugh. Has something to do with wearing boots that are the shape of Toblerones, I think. Now, here's a rare sight. Not only for Des Walker pantomiming this one up in the air, bound to go in, bound to go in, but how refreshing for a referee to allow a challenge on the goalkeeper there. Usually, as soon as you get anywhere near a goalkeeper, they go off like one of those car alarms in the middle of the night. Interestingly, as Walker balloons it, Shearer could have stopped his run there. The goalkeeper dives into the net with the ball. Without the shove, it would have gone in. I blame Stuart Pearce. A lot of people say this country needs a strong pound and a strong Liverpool. Certainly Gary Hours of Sunderland does. He can't bear to see them struggle. It was all done with the best of intentions. Some people say, can't you see that's the last act of a desperate man? Even though it looks more like the third act of a Marx Brothers film. We'll end this section with a bit of pinball from the Dell. And a sight that's guaranteed to warm the hearts of all Northern English football supporters. Thousands of joyous, writhing cockneys. Yeah, don't include me, I hate Arsenal too. Strange thing about this goal, it was credited to Alan Smith on the night, and still is in the record books credited to Alan Smith. Alright, so no Southampton defender wanted to own up to it. So let's put this one down to Keith Curle. Well, Keith's a close personal friend of mine, and I happen to know he's laughing along with that. I said earlier on that the pass-back rule means that you won't get those spectacular long-range own goals anymore. Of course, you can still pass back with your head, but ask yourself, when was the last time you saw someone score a spectacular long-range own goal header? Yep, here it comes. Everton's Mike Newell, a bullet, an absolute thunderbolt. Another theme we are warming up here is, look, you're a number 9. Will you please get down the other end of the pitch? Because centre-forwards in their own area, they start to hear the jungle drums. They see the net, the penalty spot, the old bloodlust. In it goes. The next lot of clips are the inevitable Paul Gascoigne character clips. But I do want to say, I do think Paul Gascoigne is the best footballer in the world. If you only buy one other video apart from this one, get that season before he did his leg in. There's nothing like it. Footballers these days do not make crowds gasp. And he used to make crowds gasp, whether you love him or hate him. And incidentally, I was doing a film with Paul Gascoigne once, his own video, and we went swimming, and he just turned up wearing these dark blue shorts with a 19 on them. Those dark blue shorts with a 19 on them, the famous ones.
Top man, I said. Oh, look at those shorts. Do you want them, he said. And there and then, it wasn't a pretty sight, took them off and gave them to me. So I've got them, and Sotheby's, you've got my number.
I don't think the point here is as much pulling faces and being wacky as it's just somebody who seems to play football like, well, certainly I play football, caring about it, doing your nut. I'd love to be in a team. I'd love to support a team where just one of the players felt like this. For my side. Of course, he has to go and spoil the whole thing. This next incident came after a whole week of insisting one England physio keep his head covered up. Can't think why. Then there was this, of course. Yes, professionals should be above that sort of thing, but we on the terraces aren't, so... Also, it's informative. I hadn't noticed how ugly Sid Cowans was until... But in the end, there's absolutely no excuse for such shameless showboating to camera as this. But lest we forget, Paul Gascoigne, best footballer in the world, and top man too. Well, most of the time. Aye, cue wacky music. No, cut it, didn't mean that.
They knew how to make badges back then, didn't they? Look at the size of that badge. It's like having a Christmas card on your tit. How about, if, as I'm wearing Nottingham Forest, if I did the next link in an amusing Brian Clough voice? What do we say, everyone, eh? That's what they want on football videos. That's what you all like, isn't it? All right. Mind you, to do this tape, I insisted on 2 clips specifically being involved. One was the bloke taking the penalty, and 2, the bloke in Ireland missing that open goal. So here come the next clips. 1, a bloke missing a penalty, and 2, a bloke in Ireland missing an open goal.
A thing of beauty is a joy forever, and no matter how many times I see this, well, it's the kind of incident that makes me feel that nothing matters. How many of us believe he's actually injured there? But is this worse? There's always people on terraces who shout, "My mum could have scored that." Well, that time, yeah, they could.
No, I'm not this one. I'll wear the West Ham, but I'm not putting on a Crystal Palace shirt. I refuse to put on a horrible suburban Crystal Palace with their Thunderbirds designs. No, I'm not wearing a Crystal Palace. I'll do the link, but I'm not wearing Crystal Palace. Back to front. The last season before they brought in the disgraceful no pass-back law was the 91-92 season. So it was basically, any of you who've got to shake out any spectacular own goals, get them in. This is the last season to do it. And they responded to the call. Go on, take it away.
Fittingly, typically, our last domestic round-up here is led by the leader himself, Stuart Pearce. It was a very tight angle, impossible some might have said, but not for Stu, the hard man. Doing it the hard way. Naturally, he blamed Norwich's John Polston. He would have blamed Keith Cole, but Keith was grabbing the glory himself over at Highbury. Must say, it is extraordinary how the same names are cropping up again and again and again. But when you see the sheer artistry of a curl creation, it sends a message out to the other defenders. Less is more. But fortunately for Wimbledon, there are some excellent youngsters on the way up. Gary Elkins has been playing alongside the master and knows exactly how to do it. Interesting variation on one of our themes here, a Millwall expert, Teddy Sheringham, the number 10, sniffing and poaching around. If it hadn't been for our man Elkins getting in the way, who knows what Ted might have done. So, if there's more than one Keith Cole, there's certainly more than one John Polston. That's Norwich's Mark Bowen now. We can see what's happened. As the cross comes in, Mark is absolutely 100% determined he is not going to give away a penalty. At all costs, he doesn't want to give away a penalty. So it's arms back, chest out, head in, And this one of the few instances of a defender looking round for the handball. Or, as they say up in Norwich, 2 Johnny Polstons, there's only 2 Johnny Polstons. Earliest own goal we can bring you is straight from the kickoff. Sean Teal providing the killer touch, but seconds into the game. Just the sort of start when you look round at your friend and you think, how much did it cost to get in here? What a wonderful season shaping up in prospect. Or in shorter terms, here we go again. A friend of mine went to acting and drama classes and they said, express shock, and he held his head. They said, no. In real life, nobody does that. So, nobody's ever going to confuse West Ham's Tim Breaker with actor Robbie Coltrane. You might confuse Jan Molby with Robbie Coltrane, but never Tim Breaker. Typically, the terraces behind packed with who supporters? So as we enter the last minute, Leeds 0, Oldham 0, and what a good job for Oldham. They've got the steady head and hand of Brian Kilcline at the tiller of their very solid ship. There he is now. Funny that, whenever I commentate on a Brian Kilcline game, he pulls a bloomer, makes himself look like a piece of cheese. Only another 30 seconds to hold out. Goalkeeper could have got that one, surely. Here are 3 places not to sleep in. Baghdad, Beirut, Southampton 6-yard box. If you actually watch, he has a couple of swings at this. Finally gets it right. Wrong. Swing 1. Picked that one out. Here's an unfortunate moment for Jamie Hoyland of Sheffield United. The only satisfaction we can derive from seeing this again is if Jamie hadn't have got there, Paul Ince might have done. Paul, one of football's most loved characters, apparently becomes a little unbearable if he nicks one. Hang on, what's this? Norwich City involved in own goal shock? And to their favour too. It's my beloved Crystal Palace, Andy Thorne giving that one away. But surely Norwich aren't going to take that lying down. The own goal kings, they must bounce back. And bounce back they do. Within moments, the plucky number 9 shirt of Rob Newman pops up. And once again, reason is returned to its throne at Carrow Road. That was close. For one horrible moment, Norwich thought they were involved in an own goal game, and it wasn't their own goal. Couldn't have that. So that honourable triumvirate reads Polston, Bowen, Newman. Do you remember body popping? Paul McGrath does, and as the ball crosses the line, he gives it a little bit. Actually, that's probably the most unfortunate own goal in the entire tape. Shouldn't be in here, really. What makes you think I'm going to run into Paul McGrath over the next 20 or 30 years? It's our favourite combination. A penalty box and a number 9 shirt come back to defend. This time, Graham Sharp. They just can't resist it. Let the dog see the rabbit, and bingo. Like a referee getting hit by a ball, like a policeman having his hat knocked off. Liverpool conceding an own goal in front of the Kop is a delicious sight to see. Watch the ball come back. Nicky Tanner makes his view clear. Of course, it's a fairly almighty cheek for Bruce Grobbelaar to turn round to anyone and say, look at the danger you put us in. And if you ask me, Bruce's hand could have come out another half a foot and stopped that. Just down the road, are Manchester United going to take this new Liverpool initiative lying down? Not if Mel Donaghy can help it. extraordinary piece of precision. Imagine being put under pressure by Dennis Wise. Why, it's our old friends Nottingham Forest and our old friends Coventry. A Kilclinism coming up? Can't be they've sold him. But who's this? David Smith. The king is dead. Long live the king. Handsome Steve Ogrizovic has his say. Mind you, David Smith. Can't seem to place a David Smith. Still, I suspect if you'd scored an own goal like that, would you have given your real name? David Smith, a likely story. And for people who like continuity, that's Stuart Pearce coming into your picture there. Blame him. From one bizarre name to another, David Smith to Clive Wilson. More fireworks. That's actually more like it. It's been quite a while since we've had one of those hoofed into the roof of the net. And let's face it, it gives the fans something to talk about. In every pub, wherever you go, for the rest of your life. Little competition for you now. This goes in off yet another England defender. Which one? Kind of tricky, huh? That's Notts County celebrating. Coventry City gave away the own goal, so who would it be? Stand up, Kenny Sansom. When you can stand up, Kenny Sansom. And by bizarre coincidence, another England defender, former captain actually. No prizes for Ray Wilkins there. But did you spot Ray with his hands on his hips as the attack unfolded? Doesn't seem concerned at all there. Straight into the breach, straight into the back of the net. Now, could anyone forget this game? A roller coaster. Lee Chapman breaking his team's ambitious hearts. And yes, another number 9 back there in the 6-yard box. Didn't matter, because enter Brian Gale with this wobbly hodgepodge of a goal to give the title to Leeds and break Manchester hearts. Interestingly, he tells his goalkeeper Mo to flipping call his aunt. Doesn't he? What a way to win a title. Similarly, another strike that needed 2 touches comes from Steve Walsh of Leicester. 1, 2. See the Taylor reports in full effect there. And if there's only one thing worse than having these blazoned all over a cocky smart-ass tape, it's having the thing done in the flesh with thousands of the away supporters rushing on to congratulate you.
Okay, just throw us another one. Give us a Ipswich. Yeah. We did a little poll before we made this video up. We said, which own goal do you remember most from recent years? Which would you say is the most humiliating, showed the player up to be, well, what players look like when they score own goals? Who was loathed most by his teammates? The most unnecessary, stupid, mindless own goal? It was a clear winner. Topping Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen was still Lee Dixon's spectacular... Well, you know the one.
And it's got all the ingredients. The league champions. The nostalgic, over-the-top pass-back. All those Arsenal supporters we saw jumping up and down earlier on. Not jumping up and down. And, of course, it's an England defender. This tape should sell very healthily in Scotland, I think.
Some people are born own goal scorers, other people achieve own goals, and yet others are just balmy. Tommy Hutchinson had already scored in this very important game at Wembley when he decided he wanted to cancel it out, make everything fair and square again. So if you watch this, there's no reason for him to be where he was, except he damn well wanted a goal at both ends.
We join the action with Glenn Hoddle pointing out to Tommy where the ball's going to go. Over there, where it's no harm. Tom says, got this idea about goal at both ends. Couldn't put it a bit to the left, could you? Glenn obliges. Joe Corrigan takes this all rather well. And Tom the Tash takes it like a man, while bearing in mind it's Wembley. My family's here, my in-laws are here, that brother-in-law I don't like's here, and there are 50 billion people watching in 17 different nations.
Whose shirt's this? Hands up, who said Villa? Who said West Ham? Who said Burnley? That's what it is, the old Turf Moor. Remember going to Turf Moor on a Tuesday night, we got beat 4-0. Always get beat 4-0 at Turf Moor. In between these, I keep changing these shirts and it messes all my hair up. You've probably noticed. And it reminded me, I said, have you still got that clip of Jimmy Greaves and his hair in the thing? And they said, no, Dennis, there's nowhere really in the tape we can fit it in. I said, how dare you? They don't care. They don't need things to be neat and tidy. They want to see the clip of Jim's hair. So here it is.
My piece is not in shot, is it? No, right, thank you very much. That'll do me, pal. Can you keep the camera there for a sec? Thank you. Thank you, Ducks. Hold on.
4-0.
Hair's a disgrace. I'll be glad when I finally go bald.
What do you mean, finally go bald, Jim? Do the decent thing and take it to the waters at Lourdes and dip it in.
What conversation's that?
What was that, Ted?
What wall? What wall? He reached the wall after 20 miles.
Oh, bollocks to it.
LUFC 1972. Gary Sprake was a funny comedy goalkeeper, wasn't he? If you've ever listened to any of my spoutings about football before, you'll know I'm very much a pro-European man. I think they're light years ahead of our dull old stupid game. I mean, me and Motson often agree on this. With their wonderful stadiums and their free-flowing football and their family atmospheres, well, the kind of blunders I've been showing on here could never happen abroad. Cue that big fat sequence where it happens all the time, would you? The song says it's very dashing, the Continental. Oh, yeah? You see, truth be told, these upcoming clips are of a superior style of error. A graceful, free-flowing error that we just don't see in this country enough. For instance, even a goalkeeper, basic requirement, be able to kick the ball. When you're at school, there was always one kid who kicked like that, and you always had to pick him. Eventually. Still, I dare say the Goalkeepers Union would argue their members are not outfield players, despite what happens. So, OK, let's make the basic requirement should be able to punch the ball. Away from the goal. Actually, if you look back, fair enough, it is a foul. Usually referees give that. This time they didn't, and I'm glad. This time the goalkeeper remembers the right direction. And it goes that way, for a little bit. And then it goes back over his shoulder and straight into the net. You'll have to take my word for it. That's what happens. It ought to be against the law, instead of just the laws of physics. And what about those dead-eyed continental strikers? So goalkeepers put it in the net, and exciting number 10 shirts put it over the net. Equally as good here. And he fancies himself, this bloke. Watch. They tell me that this number 8 never got up again. They buried him where he lay. And all that remains is a little mound with some flowers on it. Another close-range effort. If effort is not too strong a word. It's extraordinary, really. Whenever we meet these people in Europe, they never, ever do this, yet against each other. Must be some kind of private gag. I've always thought the Continentals a bit too clever for their own good. I mean, look at this next fella. What side of the goalkeeper would you have put it? He could already see the headlines the next morning. Got it in from the narrowest of angles. Next time, mate, try the fattest of angles. Perhaps being more central is the key. No, that's not the key. No, obviously it's not the key. I mean, that kind of mistake you wouldn't accept from a mate of yours when you got shirts down in the park, would you? And as the president once remarked, you ain't seen nothing yet. This is one of the few occasions when the manager said afterwards, that chance was as easy as it looked. But perhaps defending is the true strength of Europe. No, it's not defending either. And by the way, isn't it reassuring to see yet another of those spectacular, magnificent European stadiums here in all its glory? One wrong place to put the ball. He finds it. Kind of a mental black hole takes over. Look at the last line of defence there. Did a three-point turn before he discovered what's wrong. Same game. Same team. Same result. Interesting thing again, when the scorer celebrates, he's in front of the away supporters. Obviously more liberal referees on the continent. Look at the misery behind that goal. Sometimes they're just misguided balls without looking, and sometimes they actually look. Yeah, mate. Must have took an awful long time in the training ground to get that absolutely right. He accepts the ball here, and then springs the defence. I like the way the 5 even had the cheek to look round for a linesman's flag as he let it go. They like to think they can outwit attackers. Who'd guess it was going that way? Watch for a great reaction from the number 3. Yes, here it is. He's thinking, look at this, as I make him look pretty silly. Ah. This next clip, it's neither one thing nor the other, but it's very funny. Love the way the number 2 tries to change shirts during the match. There. Nice bit of action here from a bit of men's synchronised swimming, but you don't see a lot of. Perhaps because you've got to smile as you do it. Equally here. No. How'd you feel, mate? Still, I dare say in a couple of minutes the line would have washed out and met the ball. This is Holland v Russia. Big international. No time to make blunders like that. Oh, and like that. Entirely the goalkeeper's fault on both times. A, came too far. B, he's not very bright. Oh, I hadn't seen this one before. What a joy. Oh, I've seen this one. It's the defender with the leg made of Play-Doh. Yes, we're in Europe, all right, where those deft, subtle touches make all the difference. Next, a lesson in trapping the ball. And the travelling army of supporters go absolutely wild. Must have been quite lonely up at that end. If you look, they've taken their toilet roll and made little messages out of it on the fence. That's Dutch for crap. Meanwhile, at another mighty stadium, brilliant, eh? I don't think I've ever seen a ground quite as dry as that. Can games be called off for, well, what's the opposite of waterlogged? See, they've splashed out on ground improvements too. Ah, now this is another referee getting knocked out. We found it under the settee after we did that huge block of them, but, well, you can't get enough clips of referees getting knocked out. Here's something you always see. Goalkeepers taking it into their own hands to go and be a hero. And they always score, don't they? Well, near as damn it. But actually, I'm fed up of this sort of thing. Let's have a few of them sacked. If you're so good, mate, why are you just a goalkeeper then? See, this is the sort of thing that sickens me. What is he doing up there? Why is he so pleased with himself? Look, I mean, he's about 6 inches from the line. Anyone could score that. Just 'cause you've got a green shirt on doesn't make you special. Get back in goal, you fool. My glorious production team, though, have put the worlds to right. Here are a couple that come gloriously unstuck. Thing is here, if you are going to make a name for yourself, at least get into the area. There's no point a goalkeeper loitering around on the edge. And this is the result, you see. Worth noting the photographer getting hundreds of snaps. Every second, mate, you do it. But if you want to see how you should finish, this is how you should finish. Goalkeeper makes terrible error. And I don't know about you, but when I play with the mates and you got an open goal, you have to do that. You have to hit it 100 miles an hour across the line, just to underline the calamity this number one has brought upon his team. Of course, if he really wanted to rub it in, well, you know what it is. You get it to the line, you get down on your hands and knees and just nudge it across with your head. But let's be professional, shall we? The reason I've got this down on goalkeepers is because they're always so swift to blame. Look at the look this fella gets. Right out of the Peter Shilton book. Peter Shilton used to blame his defence when penalties went in. Turn round, banging his gloves, shouting, "I'm going to give you such a pinch." Love this one. And see the Union Jack in the back there. From the Union Jack you can hear, "Blame Stuart Pearce." And this was inevitable. Never try to trap a fast-speeding ball across your own area when the goalkeeper's just missed it. In fact, never try to trap a ball, mate. Pretty spectacular, huh? Knees should be left in the dressing room. They've got no place in a proper game. That's a funny goal, but not as funny as that one. Right in front of the travelling army, as usual. That was never going to be a good header back, was it? Mind you, any header back in the area is always ill-starred. Photographers lap it up. And the goalkeeper seems to be wearing a bald wig, a Max Wall bald wig. Number 35 on our list of hated players, the gangly, awkward centre-half. The ungainly posture, the surprised look, the looks from the teammates saying, how did this bloke pass a trial? It's what we doctors call the Tony Adams syndrome. And what did I just tell you about trapping it in the area? This fella must have thought he was going to be so cool and so good. In the end, he's left with the advice, if you ever got to see a mind reader, never pay more than half price. Of course, own goals don't always have to be someone's fault. Sometimes they're just unfortunate. Random misery, despair and career crisis. That's the whole point of this tape. That's why you bought it. Give the public what they want. Well, what was it? Hour and a half ago now, I said this is going to be a magnificent, marvellous, real football tape for real supporters, and I think we pretty much carried it off. We tried to avoid the pitfalls and cliches and patronising that you usually get on these tapes. Rather successfully done, I'd have said. Also, didn't I promise you? There'd be no music like this. Cut it. But the best gift of all, whenever you play this tape back, you won't have to fast forward over my hilarious links. Because as a special service, when you play this tape again, everything I've said has been dissolved, and you're left with nothing but a tape of pure action. Thank you very much, and goodbye. No, of course not. Do you believe that? Want to buy Tony Cascarino?